Right, so the anomaly has been removed. Shout out to the Heroes team for continuing to innovate and create different stuff for the game. I actually think that the towers things have been cool. XP globes have been the best thing. We have the best XP in all MOBAs. But this one was a big miss. I think that something like this could work, but the execution and the resources just don't add up. We're going to focus on the tanks. Tankety tanks. Blaze. Are they going to take away his wave clear? Let's find out. While Blaze has over 80% health, gain 25% bonus attack speed and 10% movement speed. I guess they're just adding to what he's already got, so that's cool. At least keep the talents open. Alphabetical. So that's pretty cool that they are giving bonuses. Cooldown reduced from 40 to 30 seconds. Adjusted functionality when damaged while below 30% maximum health. Endurance stim pack will automatically cast if it is not on cooldown. I guess this triggers if you're getting CC'd to death. Huh. I guess this is kind of the protection of like, well, you're dying. So 480, he's got, I think like 2,900 or 3,000 base. So you're getting about, what, 15% of your health? 20, math? Somewhere in there. Mana restoration. Alright, that's fine. Incinerator Gauntlets move from level 7. No longer causes basic attacks to light oil spills. That is a really good change because that was always so rough. Moved it to level 4. So it looks like they're making a lot of stuff. That was always like one of the worst things. Increase basic attack area by 15%. Basic attacks against minions, mercs, and monsters by 70%. So this is normally the #1 pick anyways. Just because it allows you to the EW a lot easier, or EQ, or excuse me, WE a lot easier, and it creates a much bigger area. Plus, it pairs very well with your 13s. Meltdown can always be good in certain situations. Now that they buffed it, it's even crazier. But Incinerator Gauntlets here does give you some form. So now, like, Blaze as an offlaner is now Blaze the super offlaner. The fact that it does bonus damage now, and you can still get crossfire, pretty OP. Adhesive petroleum slow amount increased from 30 to 35%. Slow duration from 2.5 to 3 seconds. Additional functionality now also causes basic attacks to light oil spills. So they baked it into that one instead. Enemies standing in an oil spill when it is ignited are slowed by 35%. When you consider that your oil already slows by 50%, then you light it on fire, it kind of goes away. Giving you 35% slow is okay trade-off. It means that when you get there, you're still going to be able to do something against them. Grill and kill is still pretty bad, but crossfire is still pretty OP. I don't think this really does much. Giving him some more reliable wave clear by moving Incinerator Gauntlets to an earlier level. He already has really good wave clear. I don't know what this is about. If they're going to keep making those changes, just throw him in the bruiser category, man. Cho, the Will of Cho. This was the one I was looking at right before we started. Moved from level 20. Yeah, maybe grab camps, and I guess he can contribute on something. I don't know. You got to remember, he has an AoE auto attack, so it's like super weak. And he has 4.5 range. So, like, he does work to a degree. We'll see. The fact that they moved a level 20 talent to a level 1 talent is pretty crazy. Let's look at this. So before there was a stacking quest. They removed it or they moved it? Okay, they moved it to level 20. We'll see what it says. Because before it was a stacking quest. An infinite stacking quest. Killing enemy minions grants 1 stack of the Will of Cho, and hero takedowns grant 10 stacks. Gain 1 armor for every 30 stacks of the Will of Cho, up to a maximum of 10 armor. I guess. walking around with 10 armor baseline and 35 total armor later in the game is pretty OP. What the hell? While under 60% maximum health, Cho gains 15% increased movement speed. This was nerfed a while back. This used to be really broken. Consuming fire can be okay if you go into like an auto attack type build. Uppercut, each hero hit by Surging Fist reduces its cooldown by 5 seconds. This used to be a different one. It used to be 7 seconds, I believe. And so once you got the Q cooldown reduction, like you could just like Q into a bunch of people over and over and over again. Now they made it 5 seconds, which means that instead of hitting 2 people, you now have to hit potentially 3 people unless you wind up for 2 seconds. That way, if I just Q, hit 2 people, Q, hit 2 people. Wait, or was the other one 5 seconds? Was the old one 5 seconds? Cho'Gall seems pretty good right now. The damage reduction, though, from 7 to 5, 7% was very noticeable. Unless there was a bunch of CC or any type of interrupts, like you could pretty much get away with murder. Adjusted functionality, attack damage bonus is kept when attacking different heroic targets and is only lost 5 seconds after 5 seconds or when a non-heroic enemy is attacked. That's good. I think I'm okay with that. This allows you to hit between different targets. I actually really like that. I like that change a lot. New functionality. Enemy heroes hit or who are hit by Surging Fist are slowed by 30% for 2.5 seconds. Gain 15% movement speed while charging Surging Fist and for 2.5 seconds after casting the ability. Okay. So auto attack Cho'Gall is a consuming fire. Whoops. The consuming fire into seared flesh into Firestarter, which should still have, yeah, attack speed at 16. Okay. Okay. That's pretty wild. That is pretty wild. Wind Gauntlet. Basic attacks reduce the cooldown of not a big fan of that one. Anytime you have to commit to cooldowns, like basically this is battle momentum for your heroics. Anytime you have to commit auto attacks to cooldowns on heroics, they generally don't work out well. Because the idea of like it might work for Hammer of Twilight actually. Like if you go Hammer of Twilight, that'll be pretty OP. Upheaval, you're anticipating getting you know what, man, that actually might be broken. Gauls is a much longer cooldown, so that it's mostly for Cho. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But the fact his new level 1 talent, that's actually really OP. Just having 10 permanent armor and it stacks to have 35 armor on somebody that already has like, this is like Deathwing levels of armor, except he has it for his entire health bar and he can be healed. Wild team. Wild. Diablo. Cooldown reduced from 13 to 12 seconds. Overpowered. Didn't they nerf that a while ago? Dude, Diablo's already strong. People just don't know how to play him. I can tell you one thing. Putting these on, like, it doesn't sound like much. 1 second, though, is a pretty long time. They're buffing his auto attack build. I've been telling you guys for a long time that thing's bad. Okay? It's bad. Probably still bad. But he's a lot tankier. The fact that they had to go like an extra 0.5% and an extra full % on these shows how bad that talent was, how bad it was performing. Hellfire damage per second to nearby enemies from 15 to 17. Like, I'm okay with that. W build's pretty OP. This makes it even stronger. That's how I need to see how on. So that's 17. Bitches is 15, but it's buffed by Hook. Muradin's is 20 damage, but he also heals. All of those are pretty important to him. Johanna's is 12 damage. Each hero hit by Condemn, increase that by 40%. So I think that puts Diablo more in line with some of the other tanks. It's still on the lower end, but I think it's much better. ETC nerfing his W from 10 to 12 seconds. Whoa. Wow. Wow. What was a noob ranks? 13? 23. But Diablo is also can go full W build and keep. Well, I mean, his does require activation though, but he gets spell power, so that's a pretty big nerf. It might not sound like it, but that's a pretty big nerf. Garrosh, ability effects now occur at the start of the ability's cast rather than at the end. There's no telling how many times I've used W, and it's like, oh, that didn't go the way that I thought it would. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. That helps his survivability a lot. I have desktop notifications off, by the way. Let's see. Body check from 16 to 15 seconds. Slow duration from 2 to 3. There's only one Garrosh level 1 talent, okay? There's only one level 1 Garrosh talent, and it's always going to be Q build because it pairs so well with your Q at 13. There's probably a very niche time and place for body check, though. Mortal Combo has been reclassified as an E talent, not a Q talent. Hitting a hero with Groundbreaker stun and throwing them with Wrecking Ball in 3 seconds. Within 3 seconds reduces your Q cooldown. New talent, gain 5% maximum health, increase Groundbreaker's slow duration by 1 second, and Bloodthirst gains an additional charge. Oh my. Oh my. This means, so instead of this being a strictly playmaking talent tier, which is all based around your E and your Qs, this now gives him the ability to skirmish better, as opposed to just be like, well, look, I've been getting dominated. The enemy team outdrafted me, and I don't have a lot of tools. Like, I'm either all in or I'm all out. I'm either making plays or I'm getting farmed. Getting a second charge of Bloodthirst is nuts. Whoa. All right. Okie dokie. That's really strong. That is really strong. That means he's able to play more of a neutral style instead of like an aggressive like toss or feast or famine style. That's pretty gnarly, man. And you get an extra second. Is that an extra second on the slow? So now you get a, I mean, that just helps your team. Doesn't really help your combo, but a 3 second, 40% slow, 5% extra health, and an extra charge on your W. Got a feeling that's going to be pretty good. Increase the duration of Warlord's Challenge by 0.5 seconds. That is really cool, actually. Damage reduction increase from 25 to 40%. Decimate was not bad. I want you guys to know that Decimate was never bad. It's just like if I have a bunch of people that benefit from people being locked in a place, then I'm going to do that. Decimate actually does a lot of damage, and the fact that it's like 40% damage reduction and I can just sit there and press R a bunch, that's pretty OP. Inner Rage no longer causes the cooldown of body check to recharge faster. Additional functionality increases the healing reduction of body check by an additional 45%. I mean, you're playing the long game if you go body check into Inner Rage. You are playing the long game. For what it's worth, a 75% healing reduction is pretty OP. But this is a game changer right here. It's not to say the other 16s aren't pickable now. It's just like if you find yourself like the enemy team, your team has like some weird composition and you're being farmed a bunch, like this kind of takes care of you being farmed, and that's pretty OP. The second charge, the extra slow, insane, man. Insane. Johanna. Oh my goodness. We finally did it. Johanna's Iron Skin nerfed from 20 to 25 seconds. Flesh Shield stun duration against all targets reduced from 2 to 1.75 seconds. For a level 20 upgrade, a lot of people like this. I don't know if the nerf on the stun is that great, but the nerf on her iron skin is crazy, thus making this talent even more viable. Even more viable. I'm surprised they didn't like try and be like, we'll make it 6 seconds so you're not completely lost. This is, I cannot state enough how impactful this is. To go from a 15-second cooldown to a 20-second cooldown, assuming you went hold your ground, that is a massive, massive nerf. Like, crazy big nerf. This might be the biggest nerf of the patch. It's going to be one of those things that it might not even make sense. It might not even make sense until, like, you start wondering, like, why Johanna's losing a bunch. Dude, they're like nerfing tanks. If they don't nerf bruisers here, you're just gonna have a bruiser frontline meta. I'm not kidding. Like, there better be bruiser nerfs, else you're just gonna have like bruisers as tanks. Malganus, they just reworked him to a degree. Let's pull him up. Level 4, Echo of Doom. The AoE explosion. I can't remember what they changed that from during the rework. Dark conversion from 80 to 60 seconds. I think they're trying to make it viable. It's just, if they made this like 0.6 seconds, like, it'd be pretty busted. If they made it 0.5 seconds, it'd be completely broken. The fact that it's 0.75 seconds, you always have the opportunity to destroy this or kill it or find some way to counter it. So I think that makes sense why they're trying to bring it down. I just don't think it's gonna outmatch. I mean, Carrion Storm at 100 seconds is already a long time. Slow duration increase from 2.5 to 3 seconds. May cooldown reduction increase from 0.125 to 0.25. That's actually pretty big. That makes her, because her, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see another. Oh, there's no nerfs to any of her other talents. So heavy pack is actually not bad, but heat transfer just allows you to be a tank. Heat transfer is probably still going to be the #1 pick, but I think in certain situations, heavy pack might actually be pretty decent. They just doubled the cooldown reduction. They actually doubled the cooldown reduction. So this thing will tick. How many times does this thing tick? Hold on. 2 seconds, and it ticks every 0.25 seconds. You get 8 ticks, right? 7, I guess, if depends on maximum. So getting the cooldown reduction on this on your Q, which is a 10-second cooldown, even if you hit 2 heroes, that's actually, let's say 2 seconds per person. If you get 8 ticks, I don't know if it counts the 0 second. Let's just say 8 for the sake of math. Hit 2 people for the full duration. That's 4-second cooldown, making your Q a 6-second cooldown, which honestly, it isn't that busted. Crystallize. Cooldown reduction reduced from 15 to 10 seconds. This is probably the most broken talent that she had, because her trait was OP. So having your trait meant a huge shield. You don't get punished as much. You have mobility. You have blinds. You have self-healing on heat transfer. And that made it really strong. Duration of spell armor after cryo freeze ends reduced from 2 to 1 seconds. Pretty OP. Ice wall. They nerfed the cooldown. They're like, look, man, why is nobody picking ice wall? It's like, well, because avalanche is broken. They're like, all right, well, we'll nerf it too by 5 seconds. They compensated for the cooldown on the level 20. Look, I'll say this. Mei might be one of the most balanced heroes they've ever released. Ever. And it's a tank. Think about how hard that is to do. Might be the most balanced, well-designed, translated character in the history of Heroes of the Storm. And she's a tank, which is what makes it so hard. This is it! This is it! That's all you got for me? I think Muradin's due for some type of rework, man. You guys have heard me talk at length about Muradin. Biggest downfall for Muradin right now and why he's so tough is that, one, a lot of people are going like weird PvE talents, which is bad. And it takes away from his viability. I mean, like if I'm getting double clap and thunderclap and reverb and all this stuff, like increase the attack speed slow from 30 to 50%. You know, it's still pretty big. He has no self-healing until level 13 unless he walks away from a fight, and it's very hard as a tank to walk away from a fight. Every other tank in the game has some type of shield or some way to stay alive. His ability is to slow everybody else's attack speed and hope that that's enough to keep him alive. 30 armor, again, like you're normally jumping out, not in. I thought there would be more from Erden. Erden, this does not help him jump into the meta any quicker. Stitches. Health reduced. They buffed his health so much I didn't even know what it was anymore. Hook, range increased from 11 to 12. Slam, mana cost reduced from 40 to 50 or 40 to 35. Additional functionality, deals 50% bonus damage to minions and mercs. Bless the new Stitches offlane meta, fam. Bless the new Stitches offlane meta. Bless the new Stitches offlane meta. Oh my god. Oh my. So, for those that haven't kept track or haven't been around for a long period of time, they nerfed a bunch of tanks auto attacks, namely Stitches and a Nubrak, to make sure they didn't do too much damage. The last thing I need is an Arthas slowing my auto attack speed. Okay. Bless the new Stitches offlane meta. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, you can pick anything you want as Stitches now. Stitches already does a decent amount of damage because he doesn't go gorge like a crazy person. Boy, Stitches, watch out, fam. Watch out. Part-time playmaker, full-time smash. Zool changes. Let's see. Damage reduced on your Q from 200 to 190. Damage done when skeletal warriors reduce from 46. Wasn't this like 50 originally? So like this has now been nerfed by 20%. That's crazy. Jailers, movement and attack speed bonuses reduced from 30 to 25. Weakened, damage reduction from 40 to 35. This needs to be 30. But since they have him as a bruiser, I think they're going to be okay with leaving it at 35. Duel is still a bit too powerful. I think this is pretty healthy changes. Like, I like their approach to chip away until they make it so he doesn't fall into oblivion again. But he's still somewhat viable. I think this is okay. We'll probably still see another minor nerf. Like this, I think would be okay. I'd be okay with that. Urel. Oh my. Will they remove the physical armor? Let's find out. Healing bonus when hitting one enemy hero increased from 40 to 45%. Healing bonus when hitting more than one enemy hero increased from 80 to 90. Physical armor reduced from 50 to 40. I mean, this is like tank levels of cray cray. Casting a basic ability gives you 40 physical armor for 2.5 seconds. 6 seconds, 6 seconds, 6 seconds is the cooldown of your abilities. Oh, by the way, you can instant cast with your D. There's not a whole lot to worry about. I basically have permanent armor, and 40 armor is a lot, man. Murad's Insight. They buffed this one. This used to be the OP one. Then they made this thing crazy. Dauntless still OP. I mean, it's not terrible. Not terrible. Like, the other ones aren't bad. They're nerfing the best one and buffing the weak ones. We'll see how that goes. Has over time become dominated by Gauntlet? Yes. Dauntless. Breath of Heaven healing increase from 276 to 285. Be careful. This is a character that in the right hands become very oppressive. Don't want to overbuff. Armor amount increased from 30 to 35. Oh, baby. Let's go. What? How does her level 7 read again? A bonus 20, right? A bonus 20 armor? Yeah. You'll be able to provide 55 armor. I think that's okay. Morales is already, like, okay. And she's really good in certain situations. But, like, 35 armor is pretty OP. Bloodlust! Duration reduced from 8 to 6 seconds. Healing from basic attacks reduced from 40 to 30%. Goodbye, Bloodlust. Goodbye. I think this is still okay. I think people have realized the value of Bloodlust. Maev. Okie dokie. So I was expecting some bigger changes for Maev and Shogal. They're not huge. Maev, additional functionality. Each hero hit by Spirit of Vengeance reduces the cooldown of Umbral Bind by 1 second. Maev's hiding back here. That's pretty wild, and in hindsight, so if you get like a 4-person tether, like you can E instantly, and Umbral Bind is already on a 14-second cooldown, so this allows you to kind of sync up with your cooldowns. That's kind of like one of the biggest things right now is like I need to wait for everything to come back up. So I think that's okay. I think that's pretty cool. It gives you more I mean, it basically gives you more stacking opportunities, essentially. Which is really terrifying, because there's no cap on that. Additional functionality. Enemy heroes pulled by Umbral Bind have their movement speed. Oh, my. That might make that decent, because right now, Elun's Wrath has been dominant for forever. But reducing armor and slowing them by 20% for 4 seconds, not 3, not 2, but 4 seconds. They're like, look, if it's 30%, it's 3%. 40%, it's 2 seconds. It's 20%, it's 4 seconds. Like, oh my god, y'all are insane. That's big. That is really big. One of Maev's greatest strength is already pulling somebody that doesn't have mobility. If they don't have mobility, they're basically in trouble already. The fact that you're adding a slow on top of it says that those people are in serious jeopardy of losing their life every game that Maev is in. People with mobility just kind of shrug it off. So I don't think that it needed movement speed slowed. Containment deaths. Dealing damage to enemy heroes causes the next cast of Fan of Knives that hits enemy heroes to deal 1% maximum health as bonus damage up to 5%. I think it's okay. Most people don't go that. Most people go Cruel Chain. Cassia. Oh, man. Let's see how big these nerfs are. So I anticipated the basic attack damage being nerfed. I'm surprised it's only by 5. But Charge Strengths looks like it's going to change. Health nerf. Health regen nerf. Charge Strengths. Bonus attack speed from 20 to 15%. That's awkward, man. Like, I like the fact that the 20% put it back at 1.33, but they're like, well, if we're not going to nerf this too hard so it makes all the other builds better, then we need to find some way to balance it around this. Bonus basic attack damage reduced. That means you're going to have to get used to an all-new attack speed again. Play to the Whale, bonus health regen reduced from 7 to 6. Bonus health regen when full. Yeah, this was actually really good. Now it's more in line with the other ones. Surge of Light from 300 to 285. Like, I called that one, they redid her before the buffs. Like, this was all, like, they overbuff this. Big time. I think these are good changes. I think this allows Cassia to not feel oppressive, but actually still very much meta. That's not a very big nerf. That's not a very big nerf. That's not a very big nerf. This is, like, this doesn't sound like a lot, but this is a pretty big nerf. When you consider your DPS combined there. But it does open up for the other builds to be a little better, while charge strikes should feel more balanced now. Gaul, double back, removed. Rising Dread, move from level 13. Reactivate Dread Orb, reverse the third bounds. At least gives Gaul players something else to do. It's crazy they moved like level 20 talents down to level 1 and now level 13. Additional functionality, increase Gaul's damage to enemy heroes by 10%. Upon dying, Gaul gains Ogre Rage and can use his abilities for 10 seconds. That's pretty nifty. Just the fact that it's like a 10% damage increase. I'm down to try that. New talent. Activate to reduce the cooldown of Shadow Flame and Dread Orb to 2 seconds for the next 6 seconds. That's means you get like some pretty quick cast. Shadow Fury is still going to be really good if you went that. Twisting Nether with a TP. If you don't need the TP, I guess that could be good. The Will of Gaul being a level 20 talent is Big Monka, because normally you win a level 20 fight. Like, this doesn't really matter. Greymane, Cursed Bullet, damage reduction from 40 to 35%. I think that's okay. Okay, that's okay. Mephisto, Lightning Nova. These are the nerfs I was expecting. Mephisto nerfs. Wait, were Bruisers done yet? Because I didn't see anything about Imperius being nerfed. Yeah, there was no... Okay. Furious Spark, damage reduced from 72 to 65. For those that didn't know, Mephisto at higher levels started to become pretty oppressive because they buffed a lot of the W damage and the W talents, which made it really good. So I think this is an okay nerf. It was pretty OP. These are pretty substantial nerfs. I think I'm okay with that. Spell power bonus increase from 20 to 25%. Right now, like, both of these are dominating the level 13. We'll see how this works. Mephisto felt pretty strong. Probably gonna feel pretty underwhelming now, so we're not gonna see much Mephisto. Feels bad. No longer increases Tldr's basic attack range. Additional functionality, reduce the mana cost of Shockwave from 55 to 45. Tldr nerfs, kind of expected some. I guess. I did make for some pretty oppressive play from him to just auto attack and be able to cast Q a bunch. Maybe that will fix it. Additional functionality while Resonance Beam is fully charged increases. Okay, I'm like, wait a minute. Something's not right here. So this can give you auto attack build. This is a 20-second cooldown that decays twice as fast while Resonance Beam is active. So now, while your Resonance Beam is fully charged, your basic attack range is increased by 1, and its next instance of damage also creates a Psionic Storm on the target. So every 10 seconds, you can drop one. Does anybody know? I guess that's talented. Like, if I go into this, where I can get physical armor reduction. Archon, shield amount reduced from 40 to 30%. As much as I hate that, I think that's very much needed. That was always insane. Like, oh, I got Tldr. Tldr presses hard. Oh god, I don't have Tacittar. Various talents have been reordered to follow a normal convention. Relentless Soldier getting buffed? Oh my. Maybe people will actually pick it now that they know that it exists. That was always a good talent. Neo Steel from 3 to 4 seconds. That's pretty OP. Additional functionality. Overkill also slows enemy movement by 25%. And has its range increase. Kinda is redundant for a lot of reasons. Wait a minute. Sizzling attacks moved to 16? When you consider that all executioner talents, which is percentage damage to like normally CC targets, is it 16? Adding sizzling? Adding sizzling attacks at 16? Like, screw these other ones, man. Like, you attack like 4 times per second at grenade. Yeah, maybe you can hit a couple at the same time, but sizzling attacks plus bob and weave, and if you go increased range, oh my goodness. Each time overkill hits an enemy, its damage against them is increased by 15%, stacking up to 60%. That's actually pretty neat too. It's actually a lot. Each enemy hero hit by frag grenade reduces its cooldown by 1. So, oh, I didn't see that. All right. Well, those some pretty interesting buffs for our boy Tychus here. Can do this all day. Reduce overkill's cooldown by 4 seconds. So now he has an overkill build. And he gets 40 armor while channeling. Oh my. That's a little late to be getting 40 armor on something like that. But we finally have an overkill build that kind of makes sense. That puts it at 8 seconds. It lasts for 4 seconds. So there's like a 4-second downtime if you get a full channel. Wait, that's not a... Okay, yeah, so that's not an activatable. So you could conceivably just run at people with Q build. Movement speed and range increased. Stacking damage, cooldown reduction, and 40 armor while channeling. I mean, that actually might just be good to like eat some damage. Like you could be, although, yeah, I mean, you could just be sitting here late in the game and be like, oh god, I'm about to take this Pyroblast and I didn't go Neo Steel because I'm a dummy. Give yourself 40 armor. That's crazy. Alright, bug fixes. Ana fixed an issue where Ana could get quest progress with vampiric rounds through blinds and evasion, phase prism, and incorrect mana cost. Okay, yeah, that's... Alright, so the TLDR. Okay, here's the TLDR. Blaze, they gave him more wave clear on a character that was a tank that already had wave clear. I do like the fact that they gave him passives on his level 1s so that they didn't feel so bad. But New Habits is still really good, so you should probably pick that. Cho buffs, his level 1 Will of Cho talent, very, very scary. Consider. Diablo, doesn't sound like much, but that's actually pretty good. Mostly just the cooldown reduction. ETC nerf will be felt by many people. Garrosh, I love the 16 talent change because it gives him more skirmishing capability instead of like I have to toss her Q all the time. Johanna Nerf, crazy big nerf. Crazy big nerf on her Iron Skin. That's all that's there. Malganus, inconsequential, might shift the needle by a couple percentage points at best. May, her level 4 cooldown reduction, that's a big nerf. Big nerf. We'll see how that goes. Muradin, literally nothing. There's literally nothing that they had there. Stitches, offlane Stitches is new meta. Watch out, fam. Watch out. Big burly Stitches with putrid bile running all over your team, just auto attacking you to death. GG's, game over. Zul nerfs might finally balance him. Yrel level 1 changes feels pretty good. I still think the permanent armor thing is a little weird. Karazim, only a heal buff. Gotta be careful on that one. Morales, 35 armor instead of 30. I'm okay with that. Rhaegar nerf to Bloodlust. Rip all you Bloodlust fans. I think that's kind of okay though. Maiev, not really much. Her level 1 change is actually really cool. I like that for your stacking quest. Cassia nerfs. I think this should be enough to balance her. Gaul buffs. I think I'm cool with these two. I don't really know. Greymane nerf, not that big. Mephisto nerf. He was really oppressive in the right hands at high levels. So that's a pretty big nerf for him. We're probably going to see him fall completely out of the meta. Passadar doesn't really change much of anything. And Tychus, you built Tychus might be a real thing. So we'll see how this goes. What do we try for